first off, let's deal with what you said about the Cavs, bro. They only lost by 9 points in the
You
first
just
game.
you just in your feelings about the
No,
Cavs. We
they
know.
lost by 9 points. At the end of the day, the Pistons had an 18-point lead and blew an 18-point lead. And at the end of the day, they are coached by J.B. Bickerstaff. And what does he do? He notoriously melts down the playoffs. They barely got away from the Magic. That's a team they should have ran over, and they should have ran them out the gym. At worst, it should have been a gentleman's sweep. So that's number one. The Cavs had over 20 turnovers and played one of their worst games of the playoffs. James Harden looked horrible. That's not going to happen 4 times in a row. That's the same thing that the Toronto Raptors thought. So if they played their worst game and the best you could do is win by 9, you might be in trouble. So, of course, James Harden has to figure this out. The bigger issue is Kenny Atkinson. His rotations are all over the place. You shouldn't be playing guys like Thomas Bryant at this point. I don't know what that was, but that is what it is. And Donovan Mitchell going to get it together. So I think, number one, you got to keep Jared Allen and Mobley on the floor. That was probably the difference maker right there. If Jared Allen played like he did against the Raptors, the Pistons are in trouble. So all the Cavs got to do is not lose at home and then still win in Detroit. So, and if you look at the regular season, both of those teams have been evenly matched, where when all the Cavs players played, they've beaten Detroit, and vice versa. I was also disappointed. Like, where were the fans at in Detroit? If you watched that game, that thing was empty. It looked like a random Tuesday night, not a playoff game. So that was kind of wild right there. Then let's talk about the Sixers, bro. You got it completely wrong. The X factor is not Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid gonna be Joel Embiid. He is dealing with some injuries. He's always dealing with injuries.
Yeah, always.
The X factor is Paul George. Is Paul George gonna show up be Paul George or be George Paul? Which one's gonna happen? Game 1, he was George Paul. That's why they lost. That's why they beat the Celtics, because Paul George showed up to play. So it depends on which version him decides to play. That's really the deciding factor of what's going to happen with them. I do like the matchup. It's a gritty matchup. But at the same time, Paul George has to come to play. You cannot be dependent on X. BJ's a rookie. You don't depend on him. Maxey going to do his job. We already know that.
Yeah, I was about to say, we're not going to make it past this discussion and not bring up Maxey.
Yeah, Maxey going to do his job.
Maxey's consistent, though. I don't have a problem with Maxey.
We're not worried about him. We worried about what's going to happen with Paul George. When we talk about what's going to happen with the Spurs, they might be in trouble. We all know game 1s are a fill-out game, so I don't really put a lot of stock into most of these game 1s, probably outside of the Thunder. I really think the Spurs could lose at any point. I mean, because at some point, the experience is going to catch up, and the Spurs are playing with a big man and 3 point guards. You're going to run out of gas on that at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't play a bunch of undersized guys and everybody else got rugged, bigger guys.
And that's what play really good.
That's what the Timberwolves got. Too. And then you talking about the Lakers. I think the Lakers can maybe grab 2. I think they can. If they could, they just got to win at home. Just go win both of your home games and let's see what happens next. I think of the Lakers, if Luka can somehow walk through the door, you might got something.
No.
So